Well, hello, and welcome to everyone to the 2014 NatGat3 Visioning Group Conference Call. I'm Lisa Weryu with Occupy Sacramento, and I will be moderating today's call. And the technical assisting will be done by Jackie Blaine Wilson with Occupy Buffalo, and Brian Heater will be taking notes. Thanks very much to you folks for doing that. Your mics are all on mute, and if you want to speak, go ahead and press number 1 on your keypad. To show approval, press 2. To show your disapproval, press 3. And if you have a comment that you want to make a direct response to something somebody's saying, press number 4. If you're having technical problems, press number 5. One other thing. I'd like to be able to also add your emails to our NatGat email list. If any of you have an objection to that, go ahead and press number 3 on your keypad. If not, if I will ask Jackie if you could at some point go ahead and capture the email addresses. You can go ahead and do maybe a screen print a little bit later of all the callers on this call, and then we can go ahead and add any that need to be added to our email list. We have a very, very packed agenda today. I'll just go over it very, very quickly. We'll start with brief introductions, announcements. Our old business is to nail down the dates. We need to talk about establishing a finance group. We'd like to talk about our main theme and logo. If you've been on the Facebook page, you've probably seen that there have been some suggestions for logos posted on there. We need to talk about a timeline for various important things that we need to do, getting our venues, a public launch, save the dates. I've also got volunteer list on the agenda and talking about our venues. For new business, we need to talk about our website, using social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc., use of logos, memes, graphic media, etc. for NatGat3. And then finally, a couple more. Somebody submitted to the agenda. Does the planning group have the diverse participation needed to counter the pervasive influence of systemic racism? If not, reach out and expand, especially on the ground. NatGat2's issues with boycott offer a good lesson. I know one great thing is as far as Native Americans, we've got Willie Underbaggage on board with us. We have Stephen Payen. So I'm hoping that some of the problems that happened in NatGat2 won't happen in NatGat3, but this is something we should discuss. And then finally, we probably won't get to it on this call, but it looks like there is a need to discuss the structure of our decision making as a group. Do we want to go strictly by the Occupy rules? There's another type of structure, I think, called value-based that we may want to discuss. If that's okay with everyone, we'll go ahead and start. But if you have any comments about this agenda, please go ahead and press number 1 on your keypad. We have on the call only 7 of us, but it is getting close to 4:10, so we should definitely start. Okay, we'll go introductions very, very briefly. I will call on you and just tell me your name and which Occupy or other affiliation that you're with. Barbara Smith, go ahead. Your mic's on.
Oh, hi, everyone. This is Barb Smith. I'm from Northern Michigan, Occupy Traverse City. Check.
Hey, thank you. And Brian, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Brian Heater. I am from Salem, Oregon, Occupy Oregon. And I'm here to help make NatGat3 the best ever.
Thank you. That's the kind of spirit we need. Thank you. Jackie, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Jackie from Occupy Buffalo. Check.
Yep. Okay. And Donna Pirana.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. This is Donna. I'm from Occupy San Diego. I do want to mention that I had some problems with getting a link so people could sign up for this call. So I'm not sure if that's one reason why we don't have more people. Check.
Oh, okay. Well, one reason everybody can use the same link, I believe, as the previous one, but we better look into that. Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, Kathy from Occupy Sacramento and SacFact. Check.
Thank you. And Nathan?
Hi, yeah, this is Nathan with Occupy Sacramento. I help with the web stuff and communications generally. And I'm at work now, so I'm just going to listen most of this call unless you really need me for something.
I know we're going to be discussing the website, so.
Okay, well, I'll just take a break when that comes in, and yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. And I am Lisa Weryu with Occupy Sacramento. That concerns me a little bit, what Donna said about the link. Was it not publicized enough, do you think? Let me put Jackie. Do you think we need to publicize it a little bit more on the Facebook site?
Yeah, I threw it up there earlier today, but it just dawned on me. It probably should go out on Twitter. I know we're just getting started up. Usually we always put it like on the website, on the hub, on Twitter, into the email. I did send a reminder to the email, but there's maybe 19 or 20 people on the email list. So, yeah, it might have been a little hard to find. But I would say for people, just keep checking in the NatGat group. And next week we'll get it together to put it out in a few more places. If anybody has other suggestions, let us know. Check.
Okay, thank you. Brian, go ahead.
I'll go ahead and post it on the Facebook page right now, the NatGat Facebook page. Check.
Thank you. That sounds like a good idea. Although everybody, if you were signed up for the first call, you should have automatically gotten a reminder from Inner Occupy for the second call. You know, you didn't have to sign up again. But to get some new people on there, that would be good. So yes, let's really look at publicizing these calls more widely. We've just got another person. Donna, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had people go to the Inter-Occupy page itself to try to look for the call, and that's where they couldn't find it. I then couldn't remember how I even got on the call or which link I clicked. So I'm not even sure when you first sent it, how was it sent out?
When I first, I'm trying to think.
Exactly, I don't remember either.
Was it Facebook? I think was the first place.
Yeah, I cannot find any link. That link again is what I think the problem is. But also remember that there might not be as many people here because our other call was on a Monday. Maybe there was some confusion, or maybe some of the people on Monday's call couldn't meet. So just trying to help with explaining. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, we have picked up a few. We may be making decisions on this call. If so, we want as many people as possible. Or will we be making decisions maybe via a doodle poll on Facebook? So yeah, we want to involve a wide number of people as possible and have as little chance for people to think that decisions are being made with behind their back and without their input. Okay, next up, we have announcements. That would be we're going to go into a more formal type of report back, talking about venues, the website, and things like that. So I think I'm going to actually move announcements to after that discussion in case there was something that wasn't covered when we're talking about the groups reporting back. You can add that in on announcements. Okay, the first matter of old business, we have to nail down our dates, which is August 14th through 17th. There was some discussion on the call about those dates being a bit too early for, I think it was Ohio students go back to school on the 18th, and so it would exclude the teachers from participating. I do know that Willie Underbaggage with Lakota Nation had, I believe, something that he wanted to do in conjunction with NatGat, and that would be, I think, during that August 14th through 17th time. Brother Carter, go ahead.
Hey, this is Steve Payan, but I'm still in the Peer Surgeon queue now. I'm using his PIN access code because I couldn't get to my internet. But anyways, if we did, however, push it back to September, Sac State is open on the September 23rd for 3 days in a row. An ideal location that we were looking for, and then Bob Saunders has the information. We went out to Discovery Park, which is super huge, and it would be able to accommodate over 1,000 people. And if we just got stages and domes and everything should be perfectly fine, like to have that kind of a setting. And then, so yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. Like, if it could be pushed back to September,
actually, maybe I should say move forward, because if we put it in September, I think it even more students and teachers wouldn't be able to come.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
I was really thinking earlier in August. But would that conflict with anything that Willie Underbaggage has planned?
There's Sundance, which a lot of Native communities wouldn't be able to go to, because there's a few Sundances throughout the country that are going on, and then a lot of people will be preoccupied. So just throwing it out there for people to consider.
Yes. Okay. So does 14th through 17th work for a lot of the Native groups then?
Throughout the country, everything is arguable because there's always something going on. I mean, every occupation can come up with something going on that week. So it's like there's something we have to try to find a group consensus, and
yes,
something we have to put feelers out there too. And we're also on a time constraint because something of that magnitude to host thousands of people, or potentially thousands of people, because if we're going to do it big, I know, because this is California, like we'll at least have 1,000 Californians out there that are going to want to go. So that's something we got to take into mind. And if we do it in Discovery Park, and we're going to have like big bands out there, that park is huge. It could probably accommodate like 10 to 20,000 people. And
wow, and that would be wonderful. Yeah, we do have. Yeah, I think we're going to be discussing venue a little bit later on in the agenda, and go over that venue and the other ones.
I think something that we will have to consider as Occupy is like locations that are available. Because it's not promised that we are getting somewhat late on planning for a national. So it's like what spaces are available that we could accommodate to, and then I'm hoping Discovery Park is open on that time, and then Sac State and I don't believe Sac City are open at that time, or the football field.
Well, that's actually on the agenda we've got timeline on here, so I think it would be very good to put that way high up in the timeline. See, I've got a couple people here. I've got Dan Marks and then Brian Heater. Dan, go ahead. You had a direct.
Aloha. Hey, I just wanted to chime in that it was my understanding that William Underbaggage had selected that date because it was his birthday. I don't think that there's any other Native American action or event happening on that particular time. That might not be true. Somebody else might want to make a comment on that, but The other thing that was mentioned too about dates, and it came up in the visioning group on Facebook, that the closer we get to September 17th, the anniversary of Occupy Wall Street, it almost sets a conflict in order. But you know, the other way we can address that too is to move the date to the 17th and have the anniversary and that happen at the same time. I guess that's all for now. Check.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, Brian, go ahead.
That's a great idea, Dan. I heard from most people on our Facebook that people wanted it earlier, though, because of school, so students could come and teachers. And then someone also said that our date right now is too close to the S-17 anniversary. So that's the input that I've heard from several people. Check.
Hey, thank you, Brian. And now we have Donna. Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, thanks. Just my own opinion. I would rather have the National Gathering be a standalone, separate national event that doesn't conflict with Occupy Wall Street 3-year anniversary, because it's actually two separate large events. In fact, probably the two largest events, for gathering for the Occupy movement in a given year. So to combine them, I think would not be a good idea in my own opinion. I'd rather see them separate. I do agree with the fact that the dates seem close together. But then again, I think that many of the people planning Occupy Wall Street 3-year anniversary will most likely be over there on the East Coast, whereas now we've got a national gathering comprised of people that may consist of, that may be located closer to the West Coast, which is amazing because this is the first time we've had a NatGat on the West Coast. So it gives a lot more people an opportunity. I would vote in favor of having it earlier rather than later, and I yield. That's just my opinion. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you, Donna. Okay, we've got Jackie. Go ahead, Jackie, and then Dan.
Yeah, I see Joe Hawks on the call. He might be able to fill us in more. I know William Underbaggage and him had done a lot of outreach with you guys in Sacramento, and those dates have some some reason that they wanted those. So maybe he can let us know. And I also just wanted to say about the S-17 thing. I agree with Donna. Two separate things, and something for people to put on their radar for far out is it has been mentioned to try and do NatGat and S-17 together for the 5-year anniversary in 2016. So just a little tidbit there. Check.
Oh, okay. Okay, now we've got Dan. Go ahead.
Yeah, I forgot to include what my own preference would be, and actually, my preference would be to switch it to July 4th, just like NatGat 1, and I thought that was actually the best way to do it. That's just my personal preference. But again, I think we're kind of putting the cart before the horse, and I think you kind of got to that with the Discovery Park idea that I think we're addressing dates prematurely. We should be talking about the availability of the venue first, and I would, I guess, make a motion that we bump that in our agenda up first, and then we talk about dates. Check.
Well, but it seems like unless we know what our dates are, it might be a little hard to see which venues are available. Let me go ahead and see. Donna, we've got...
That's backwards.
Donna, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention what I knew about William Underbaggage's decision to have an event based on 14th. Actually, that was my idea. He was talking to me about the dates, and he suggested August. Then he mentioned his birthday, was on the 14th, and I remember saying, well, that would be on a Thursday, and that's usually the opening day. And I suggested that since he had been working with the groups Idle No More and with AIM up in the Bay Area, that perhaps he could coordinate an opening ceremony to bless the NatGat, unify everyone, and also as a celebration of his birthday and his involvement in so many great things. So I don't believe that, I'm just stating that I'm pretty sure that that date is highly significant as it's William Underbaggage's birthday. And I think that's if you're going to pick a time, why not pick any time? So that's the history of the decision as far as I know. I don't think there's anything else other than William may have already gathered people or asked people for commitments, and we'd have to check that with him. Check.
Okay, thank you, Donna. We've got Brian, and then we'll have Stephen. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm proposing we just stay with the same date, August 14th through 17th. The reason why is that the group last week decided that. We put out a couple Facebook memes, and also we've been Twittering that all week. And so I think we're going to just keep going round and round on this, and we should just go with those dates. Check.
Okay, and Stephen, go ahead.
Just something we got to keep in consideration is, well, I got a question first. How many different states or cities are on the conference call right now? Just before I go on, how many states or cities?
Let's see, just by a glance, I'd say about 8.
8
7,
cities or 8 states?
Maybe 7 separate locations of
7 locations.
People who are not from Sacramento.
To be in correspondence with the whole country is something that I think that what is kind of dooming Occupy is that we don't have a national consensus of where to go from here, and then it's nobody's fault. I mean, there's just a lot of problems that arise, and then right now we're under a time constraint to where we have to figure out how we can best coordinate available dates with availability for participation. We don't even know outside of the 17 participant occupations how many other people it might conflict with. I mean, that's why I just want to keep in mind the best turnout we can have. And then I guess for future reference, I think it would be a good thing for us to nationally have every state have its own national day of action, but a statewide, to where you have the autonomy of a state, to where we can make collective decisions as a state to build up 50 statewide occupations, to try to see how we want to do things democratically, because it'd be impossible for us to truly represent the 99% with only 1,000 people there. I mean, there's millions and millions. How many million people are in this country? But to have that representation is something that we have to figure out how to get, because our goal should be how to awaken the 99%, and having a conference with 1,000 people is a good start. 10,000 people is a good start too, but it's still a drop in the bucket. So how originally when I was trying to come up with some ideas in the beginning of Occupy was how can things be dissected regionally, and everybody within their regions start corresponding with their states, and from the states work their way up nationally, and to where we have this physical movement to where there's thousands of people mobilizing in their own states, not just 1,000 people mobilizing in a state representing a country. So that's what I would hope we can have achieved through this national gathering, and hopefully maybe have a statewide gathering. I don't know how likely it would be, how well California is very well organized, but it's also unorganized at the same time. I don't know how the rest of the 49 states, what their demographics are, but it'd be good for us to start mobilizing states together for having statewide actions, so we can kind of see and have stuff to feed off of, so we have logistics to analyze, and how many people would really want to get these goals done. I was a national coordinator for MECHA, which is a national organization, and I was a liaison between Northern California and the rest of the country, and there's processes of getting stuff together to where we can have national resolutions and goals together, and it's good to have these these discussions, but we have to be real with if we really want to awaken the movement or have a nice event. What are the necessary steps for us to truly awaken this movement? Sorry,
yes.
Sorry for being so long, but that's all the stuff that's on me right now.
That's fine, Stephen. Okay, we've got Barbara and then Joe. Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I agreed with the point, I believe it was Dan Marks brought up, that venue availability is going to be a key deciding factor and impact date selection. As far as which date it is, the 14th through the 17th sounds good, but if it could be moved earlier and not disrupt plans that might already be made that I'm not aware of, then maybe earlier is better for a lot of reasons, which would, in my mind, open up the first couple weeks of August as potential dates. But again, venue availability is going to also be key to that. Check.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I think especially because we're talking about parks in the summer. There may be activities planned for all of the parks we want during the 14th through the 17th. So I would like to propose that our venue folks go out during this next week and try to find out when the venues that we're looking at are available. And then we'd have more information to make a good decision. Joe, go ahead. Your mic's on.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Hawk calling from Pueblo House in Pueblo, Colorado. I want to concur with what was mentioned earlier about William Underbaggage's birthday, and the date implied. That date isn't written in stone. I would suggest that if whoever's in charge of logistics could do something twofold. One is find the venue, and two, find the earliest date possible, because especially in the state of Colorado, school is opening, and that'll be about the middle of August. So there's a lot of teachers who will not be able to make this venue. Check.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Let's see, we've got a couple more. We've got Jackie and Dan. Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in real quick that I kind of think the date should be deferred to Sacramento, because they're doing all the on-the-ground work. And previously, when like Philly and Kalamazoo called for it, they already had the date in their head. The other thing I wanted to say, I think Brian mentioned about it's been tweeted out and Facebooked out, but no decision was really made. And I guess that goes to the process discussion later on, is where do we finally say the decisions are made? The call, the email list. I think people are taking it from Facebook, which I think is the worst place in the world. I mean, it's working pretty good now because it's secret and all that. But I just wanted to throw that out because we did have some problems last year, like somebody would say, oh, we're getting this speaker, and put it on Facebook, but then it wasn't confirmed 100%, and then you suffer the embarrassment and all that stuff, and people saying you don't have your shit together. So I just wanted to throw those things out for consideration. Check.
Okay. Jackie, while your mic is still open, how were decisions made last year?
Well, I guess we just we all decided to use the conference calls and the email lists. I think some decisions we could make on the email list, but if we thought it needed broader, a broader decision, which is kind of contra, because there's more people on the email list than make it to the call. So I think it's something everybody has to decide. No matter what, then there is exclusion. Some people don't like the calls. Some people can't be on email. Most people are on social media, which is a great place to, get ideas out, but I don't think it's a good place for the decisions. Check. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did, very much. It sounds like we might have to have multiple ways for people to vote on decisions. Okay, we've got two more hands up. We've got Dan and then Bob. Dan, go ahead.
Again, I just wanted to add out here in Hawaii that our school actually begins the school year at the beginning of August. So again, July does work out better for us out here, so sooner the better really for us. We'd probably get more participation from Hawaii, I think. And I do think that the voting, if we're going to be voting on things, this is the place to do it. I think it's okay to have ideas out there circulating in email and stuff like that. But this is our opportunity to really, I don't want to say confront each other, but really address kind of our concerns and everything like that and hash things out. And I just feel much more comfortable if a group kind of talking it out makes the decisions rather than trying to keep track by email. Check.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that too. But maybe some provision could be made if there are people who, because of work schedules or whatever, just absolutely positively cannot be on the conference call. But maybe the conference call would be the preferred method. Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, hi everybody. Sorry I'm late. I had to find a location to take the call. By the way, Lisa, you're doing a fantastic job. It brings me back to when you did the foreclosure calls. Anyway, one of the things is I hear what you guys are talking about, and I think when people break into things like committees or subgroups or work groups and things like that, and then you can designate somebody, on a rotating basis, a report back person, I think it'll be easy for, then people to report back on the conference call in regards to things like, say, entertainers. But I think that kind of stuff, the brainstorming, should really stay within each of that kind of group. You could do media within that kind of group and just have one person report back on the conference call. And because one of the things is that I really, I believe that a lot of things should be kept off of Facebook. We know we're going to have infiltration. We know we're going to have enemies and stuff, but I want to try to save that to the last possible moment. I don't want to give them as long as we're giving ourselves to strategize, plan, and organize. We've done this before, and it's really worked well. And I'm a strategist, and I always believe is you never give away your strategy, and Facebook is like the worst place to do it. Email is better, conference calls probably best. So we can figure all that kind of stuff out. And getting back to the dates that you guys are talking about is, it's a tough thing because we can pick a date, but then we're trying to organize venues and sleeping areas and entertainment areas and things like that, hoping to nail that down on the dates. But if the dates aren't available and the venues are available at a different time, like say July, we would then have to switch that. So right now we're pushing really hard on dealing with the dates we have, August 14th through 17th, but it's totally predicated on being able to nail everything down. And as I said, it's got to be not only a venue to have our meetings and everything, but having the sleeping areas, having the entertainment areas, things like that. And so we think, Andy, Stephen, and I checked out some places last week, and we think we're on to something. I don't know if we're up to the venue part yet, but if that's later, I'll tell you later. So let's just go easy on those dates because it can't be a hard and fast one because so much is dependent on nailing down three parts that can fit into that. And we're pushing hard on it. We're trying to nail this down. We're having separate meetings, and we're just trying to figure out, when we give feedback to the places that we're trying to nail it down from, what they have to say about it. But right now we're trying to deal with August 14th to 17th, and if that doesn't work, based on, because we can't get something around that time, then we'll have to change the date and we'll bring it back to the group and figure that out. But, for sure, not everybody's going to be able to make it. We kind of know that going in, unfortunately. And, we're going to all try to do the best that we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Yes, the more I hear that it's going to be impossible to get a date that won't exclude anyone. But I think getting the best venue that we possibly can for what we want to do is going to drive the dates. We've got one more comment on this. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm fine with moving the dates back. I thought keeping the same dates might be smart, but if we think it's an earlier date would be fine. I'm fine with what the group wants, but I think we should make the decision here in at least the next couple of weeks so we can start doing our publicity and all that stuff. So that's my opinion. Check.
Okay, thank you. Well, that sounds like something we should definitely put on the timeline when we're talking about timeline, establishing the dates. Since we're talking about venue already, I'd like to go ahead and move to the venue item on the agenda. So, Bob, if you want to go ahead and report back on that, I'll go ahead and turn your mic on.
Okay. One of the things, thank you. One of the things I realized too is I think it would be good if people threw a date. If you think that for many people, you're kind of getting, some feedback about that July might work, just pick some days in July. Pick 1 week. So when we go out and check out venues, we can say, well, we're either going to hold it in, these days in July, say July 14th through 17th, or August 14th through 17th. So when we do that, then we can get, definite feedback from the places we're contacting. And they may say, well, August isn't available, but July is. And then we know like that. And then if we can hit all three areas that we need to nail down in either July or August, then we can report that back to the group. I think that would work real well. And it's fine with me if somebody has a set, that second date series in July. I have no problem with that. But actually, if we're going to do that, we should do that really soon. Because then when we go out and we're trying to nail down places, we can give them that option. And then we'll know, rather than having to spend so much time going back and forth, waiting to hear from them, and et cetera, et cetera. Because a lot of times they have priorities. As I've checked in some of the venues, they've got priorities for this group. If you're connected to the group that oversees it, you get first priority. If you do something for, you're a huge donator to something with that group, you get second priority and things like that. If you're a nonprofit, you get third priority. If you're not, you get fourth. So there's so many parameters of things that we have to deal with, and that it's just best to know to get dates out of the way, that it's either choice A or choice B. Throw them to the different venues and areas we're dealing with, and then we'll know. So that's just something to think about. But anyway, getting to the places we checked out, in Sacramento we checked out Sac City College. One of our people, Brother Carter, knows one of the people who's like the president of the Los Rios College organization, which also includes that. And then
Bob,
we've checked out a place. Yes.
Oh, just a second. I think Jackie has a direct response to.
Oh, good. Okay.
Before we jump into the venues, Jackie.
Good. Thank you.
Jackie,
yeah, I just wanted to. Oops. Yeah, I wanted to maybe make a proposal that we just empower Occupy Sacramento, the people on the ground, to just go ahead and do whatever dates they can. I mean, they're the ones looking for the venue, and they can make like on-the-spot decisions if somebody says, oh, but this is open July 18th or something. So I wanted to throw that out. I think it's great to have all this national input, but 99% of the work, 90% of the work happens on the ground. Check.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, Bob. We could keep that in mind. I think next week we should make venue a big priority of our discussions. But I'd like to hear Bob talk about the different venues that you've looked at. So go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate that. Yeah, and that's one of the things. And just remember, like tonight on tonight's call, Andy's not on the call, Steven's not, and Brother Carter's not, because they're all involved with different projects right now. So, I'm here, and I will be talking with them. Within the next couple of days, we'll be at an event on Saturday. So I'll be spilling the information to them, and then so this way, what we'll do is we'll look at July. Just throw it in the mix anyway, just in case, and we'll see what we can do about that. And so we don't really know, because there may be things that happen in August at any one of these venues that knock us out, and so we have to go to a whole different month, which would throw us into July. So we're going to keep that option open, and so just off the cuff we'll go with, say, a plan A, plan B kind of stuff, and of course we'll report it back to everybody so you guys know, because we're all in this together. But anyway, getting back to the venues, we checked out Sac City College, which is a community college, and Brother Carter, as I mentioned before, knows somebody who's the president of the Los Rios College District that includes Sac City College. He also has encountered and met with some people who are part of the student union group, and they're saying, well, you should go through the student union group. So anyway, so we're going to just take all that information when Stephen, Andy, Brother Carter, and I meet, and we'll be discussing that because I'm always focused on details and everything. So we want to know the names, want to talk to the people, meet with them, and see which way is better. My way is usually going through the top because I think the higher up you go, the better chance you have of getting it because that's where the decision makers are. But we may work, bottom up and top down as well. And besides Sac City College, unfortunately, we don't believe that the stadium is available. They have a pretty huge stadium because they're going to be the team's going to be practicing in the middle of August. But that doesn't mean we can't have programs there and then just move somewhere else. There's a park right across the street, a very beautiful, huge park, shade trees, picnic benches, grills, and all that kind of stuff where it's okay to do all those things. You just can't tent. So, of course, that would bring to another location where we'd have to house people. So with that in mind, we also checked out a KOA campground, and there's a beautiful one in West Sacramento about 10, 15 minutes out of downtown. Lots of you can camp in tents. They've got some tent cabins. They've got a whole bunch of other things there, some RVs. And then right near there is, about 10 minutes away at the most, is at the confluence of the American River Parkway and Sacramento River is Discovery Park. And that's a place where they have had, they've had different concerts and things like that, small. But they've got amenities over there. There's, there's a bunch of different things that we can use that for as a possible gathering place and things like that. And then that's right near Camp Pollock. Camp Pollock has an old, it looks like an old big cabin chalet type place, and they were taken over by the Sacramento Valley Conservancy a year ago. Used to be an old Boy Scout camp since the 1920s. The only problem is only children can camp there, not adults. You can go rafting there. You can do a lot of stuff. There's, the big building can be a meeting place, and there's just a bunch of stuff there. And then beyond that, Camp Pollock, there's also, as I mentioned, Discovery Park and KOA. So there may be a thing where we're in 3 different locations, to try to handle all the things we have to do. But we're kind of trying to figure out flow so that nobody's having to rush one place to the other. We figure ways of shuttling people, all the logistics ins and outs. The thing that's great about Camp Pollock is that's where they used to have something called the Heritage Festival, where they used to set up 5 stages for bands that can hold, quite a number of people. And, so we're talking to people there. I was on the checking things out today that who runs which, and, so I know we've got to deal with the county on one, Sacramento Valley Conservancy on another, and all that. So like I said, I'll be meeting with Andy and Stephen and Brother Carter this weekend. We'll be hashing this stuff out, and then we'll be trying to nail things down by next week as much as we possibly can. We've given dates to a bunch of places, and they're kind of feeling it through. Stephen is working on getting us under the umbrella of one of the groups he belongs to, so we can kind of fall under their 501c3 and either get, which will help get discounts and or help get a venue. So we're working on everything and trying to pull things together really fast. And other than that, I really can't say much more. I don't want to kind of bog anybody down with any more details about it because it's kind of like really unnecessary. But we'll just keep passing information along, week to week as we can, and we're trying to nail things down as quick as we can. Hopefully we can find something within the next 2 weeks, if not within the month. But like I had suggested on Facebook, is everybody should start checking just a soft check of transportation to Sacramento, just so you have a general idea, so that you're not going in blind, and then everybody can say, well, in every place in Michigan, it's going to cost the averages between $100 and $300. In Wisconsin, it's $150 to $400. So you kind of know that. So then that could be given, information could be given to the fundraising committee, and then everybody can kind of run that through and figure out about raising funds to get them here if they don't have the money to do so, and which is the easiest transportation, because I kind of feel people are going to come every which way. I mean, including caravanning and trains, buses, planes, because these shuttle buses are pretty expensive to make it here unless there's some great deal, you can cut. But I know Amtrak's got cut rate deals for like large groups of people. You know, but I'm saying is just start feeling that stuff out. Everybody should be doing that so that they have something. You know, start doing your due diligence because you'll have something to work with, and then we'll have a general idea. And also, we need to know in Sacramento, so when people call us and say, "Hey, can you give me an idea of what it costs from something?" I said, "Well, I spoke to so and so in Madison, Wisconsin, and they said it costs that. I don't know how close you are to Madison, but it probably I heard the range in Wisconsin is this, that, you know, and whatever." So because we're in a sense the hub. And so, you know, we want to make sure we can help facilitate people as much as possible. But like I said, people should start looking into forming those work groups, you know, like we mentioned, like it was mentioned on the media, I think, you know, like media work group, and like Brian, I believe, mentioned it, and a couple of other people, fundraising group, and I can help you with that because I've done that professionally, you know, and just a bunch of different things. So then we can start formulating that and organizing in that way. And then when we have calls and everything, like I said, people can check in and report back, and then we'll help develop this. Because this is how we've worked some things before in the past for events that were planned for 500 people. I mean, I've done stuff like that for 3,000 people. And basically the nuts and bolts and structure is always pretty much the same. It's just more work to do for you know, for a larger event. But, you know, but the foundational aspect of it and the tools are pretty much the same. That's about it for me. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks, Bob. Actually, we do have Stephen on the call, and so
good. Okay.
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and call on him right now. Go ahead, Stephen. Thanks for being so patient. And after Stephen, we'll have Donna.
I'm on. I think Bob covered about everything. We, just FYI for everybody, we have students in almost. I could safely say we have students in every state, college, and university around the area. And even if we moved it for some reason to Davis, where the pepper spray was, or to Woodland Community College, where I mean that's in the Sacramento area. Like if we needed a conference location, my biggest concern was about weather, because in California it's super hot in August, and with as much crazy weather changes have been going, I don't know what to expect in August. So I want to defer to locations with heating and air. So like if it's hot or cold, people can have that, and also a safe place to camp out for the night. So I would lean more towards having the location be able to shift throughout wherever it is. But we have to have a meeting with the teachers unions and a meeting with student organizations to have it sponsored. With the student organizations, we'd be able to utilize them, or they'd be able to utilize us as well to for their students and their campus to just, I don't know, sorry, lost my train of thought, but we'd be able to utilize them to get the spaces a lot cheaper. Like for Sacramento City College, it reduces it by more than half. Same thing with Sac State. I mean, if they have and then with Woodland Community College, we'd probably get the campus for free if it was sponsored. We did a statewide police brutality conference with all the families brutalized by police brutality in Oxnard, and then we were able to get the campus for a very super cheap price. We host statewide and organizations as MECHA like twice a year, and then every campus almost has a youth conference once a quarter. So it'll be somewhat easier for us to get it, but since we're at such a late in the game, because we're already entering in the spring semester, and then fall's getting filled up. So if people are comfortable with the dates being moved up to July, I don't think anybody would be comfortable moving it to the fall semester. But I guess we can figure out what dates we can't do, and we can try to work within our means to what we can do. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Stephen. Then we've got Donna, and then I think last call for comments on this issue, and then I think we're going to have to move on to our other agenda items. Go ahead, Donna.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I do agree about getting people regionally involved. and also to remind everyone on this call, at least, I'm still trying to get hooked up with the email. I'm a little behind with some stuff, so I have not answered or replied to the email thread. But you also mentioned that there was some information going out on the Occupy Sacramento Facebook page, so I want to clarify, in fact, how many places right now we have available and where those groups are located, because I haven't seen those yet. The reason I'm asking is because I put up a Facebook invite for it's called the Occupy National Gathering 2014 SoCali Coordination. So it's basically, I've already set up a regional coordination page for Southern California, and I've been inviting people, and I already have 40 members of the group that are interested. So that's one reason I wanted to clarify, you know, as far as gathering transportation options is one of the main reasons that I put this together, is so that we could at least make sure to get, obviously, a lot of people from California here. But in regard to what the gentleman was just speaking about transportation, that is definitely something that I think is a good thing to coordinate regionally with the different occupiers to make sure that gets going in time. As far as the weather goes, that's the biggest comment I have been getting from everyone, is that Sacramento in August. So that is a concern for some people. I'm not sure what the weather's like there. So again, that obviously I defer to the judgment of Occupy Sacramento and to the planning committee as far as the dates, the months, and obviously those are contingent on the venues. So I think that's all I was going to say. Other than I don't know if you had this on the agenda. I apologize. I didn't have my pen ready, but I wasn't sure whether coordinating all of the different places to go at this point in time to get organized was going to be collated in some way for all of us. Check. Sorry that's so long.
Oh, that's no problem. Thank you, Donna. Yes, before we leave this important topic, I wanted to ask Bob and Stephen, do you think by next week's call you'd be able to give us an idea of which, you know, the main top venues are available and when they are available? Stephen, go ahead.
To the best of our ability, we'll try to see what parks are available and what campuses are available. But within our budget, everything will depend on what student organizations can sign on to defray the cost. But I could try to commit to a couple of campuses, and if Bob and Andy can do the same, I believe we can have something by next Wednesday.
Great, yes, with costs too. Yes, we definitely need to know those. Thanks. Bob, go ahead. Oh, sorry, Bob. Go
I second what Stephen said, but also what we'll do is, and this is one of the things, like I said, we're really trying to deal with details and everything, so we can present, you know, just detailed information to the group, and so we know what kind of numbers we're playing with, and you know, and what kind of timeline. Because one of the things too is, one thing I want to do is when we do, you know, as we're dealing with these places, we want to find out from them what their timeline is in making a decision. You know, from the time, say, we put in an application and to the time that they make a decision, you know, so like, do we need to put a deposit down immediately and everything? I've got an application, for example, from the KOA campground while Stephen's working on the you know, group to kind of that we can go under as a 501c3 to help defray the costs and or use their insurance, because some of them require insurance, and of course Occupy is not insured, so we have to kind of fall under somebody's insurance and things like that. So, you know, kind of like there's a lot of details and particular things that we have to deal with. So, you know, we're formulating our template of you know, asking the same questions and to elicit the same information from everybody that we encounter. But I think by next week for sure, I am pretty comfortable in saying, you know, we'll have more detailed information that we can give, because we're going to go back to some of these places and things like that. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Because I think that's going to drive our dates, is when we can get the affordable location. Okay, Dan, go ahead. You had a comment.
Just a direct response to the insurance. You can get event insurance for a large event for, I believe, up to $1 million policy, and it's right around $120. So don't let that scare you off. If you do a Google search on it, you'll find there's a bunch of things. We've tried to do an event too, and we had to look at those kinds of options, and they're not really scary at all. So don't worry too much about that. Don't let it affect your decision if we can do something awesome there. Check.
Okay, thank you, Dan. That's good news. Next on the agenda, we need to talk about the subgroups. So I'm going to go ahead and turn Jackie's mic on. You wanted to talk about that a bit.
I think there were a couple of people still had their hand raised, and I accidentally put them down. So maybe you ought to ask them to click it again, and then we'll go forward to check.
Oh, okay. If you had your hand raised to talk about venues, please go ahead and press number 1 again. We inadvertently put your hand down. Or you can press number 4. I don't see any hands going up. I didn't see any go down. I saw some 2s, which is just approval. But I don't think we lost any 1s. They were
okay,
2s.
Great.
Okay,
I thought there was a 1 or 2 in there. No, I just wanted to mention about the subgroups. All the subgroups need people to start, joining and talking on email or on a Facebook group to move forward. I know media is set up. Outreach, I believe, has been doing talk. I'm not sure if they have meetings yet. But I wanted to make a special plea for finance, number 1. It's something we talked about on the debrief last year. We really didn't get it going early enough. So anybody who has any interest in finance, either, just helping with the back end of sending letters and stuff, or actually getting out there and raising the money, please join up. And admin needs people. I'm setting a lot of stuff up. I'm only going to be involved with this till about the beginning of February, and hoping to pass on the reins. I think Donna asked where to get the info. Right now, since we don't have a website or hub, there is lots of info on Titan Pads. You can find the different links if you go to the Facebook group and go up to the files and look for one that says Doc Dump. Most of the stuff should be in there. I've been adding it as I can. And I think that's about it. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Yes. Do we have any volunteers to be on the finance group? If so, go ahead and press number 1. I see.
No.
Brian.
Oh, no, I didn't volunteer to be on the finance group. I was just going to do a quick report about our media and outreach. Do you want me to do that now, or you want to wait?
Let me just first see if we do have any volunteers for the finance group, and then I'll go back to you. Okay, let's see. We've got Brother Carter. Are you volunteering? Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen. I see a 3. Go ahead. I turned your mic on.
Nope. I don't know. I'll help raise funds, but I'm not the best person at budgeting stuff, but I definitely will help raise.
Okay.
I'm doing this Poor People's campaign, and then throughout leading all the way up until August, we're going to be collecting funds. So I don't know, whoever wants to chair that committee, I need to know who do we funnel money to, or do we leave it in Occupy Sacramento's account?
Yeah, we'll have to find out. I'm toying with the idea of being on that committee. Okay. Chaz, go ahead. Or you just pressed the number 2. I'm sorry. Let me see who actually has a 1. Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly. I think Stephen is going to end up being like me in the way of sort of I'll be in the like an advisory capacity or a helping capacity for fundraising, and I think he'll probably be the same thing for finance because of so much stuff for some financing and fundraising is also going to be local. But I think in a sense, all of us are kind of involved in finance and particularly fundraising, because some people will have to fundraise in their area to be able to make it to Sacramento. Aside from having some events to get to raise funds and or to raise funds to go into the big collective for the big for the money we're going to need to pull this thing off. For where we don't get sponsorship, we're going to try to push to get as much sponsorship as possible. But I think in some cases we'll be in sort of like a, I don't want to say advisor, it's like it's not a lead position, but sort of helping from experience and knowledge in every way we can. And so we'll all be involved in that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, we have on our call Andrea from InterOccupy. And so I'd really like to move to discussing the NatGet website and hub. So I'll go ahead and put that on the agenda. Barbara, let me go ahead and call on you first, and then we will move into discussion of the website. Go ahead, Barbara.
Regarding fundraising, one thing that works really well long distance for someone like me in Michigan or our group is if there is just for NatGet 2, there was a donate button, and it went through, I think, the Alliance for Global Justice. And Jackie could speak maybe to why that was. But is anywhere we can point and click and get people to donate across the country is something that I think I would recommend as a great way to start bringing money in. I'm sorry I can't help you with the finance, but there's got to be some good money heads out there in California. Hopefully some of them will volunteer. Check.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. That's an excellent idea. Some, Kickstarter, or there's so many ones out there that we can, and people would be willing to kick in $5 or $10 for. So thank you. That is a terrific idea. Okay, go ahead and press number 1 if you'd like to talk about the website. Dan, go ahead. You've got your hand up.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Dan, go ahead. Okay.
No. Let's go ahead. Move on to the next topic.
Okay, we are moving on. Brian, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the media group has already discussed this. We've met we've talked a lot. We're meeting tomorrow again too. There's several members here. So our proposal, I put it out in the mailing list. I don't know if all of you got it, but I'll just go through it really quickly. Is that we have 2 choices. We've already registered our domain names, nat214.net, .org, and .com. And Occupy Sacramento wants the media group to develop a website. We have several of their members on our media group. We have 2 choices. We can use the InterOccupy hub, and then we can also have a standalone website. So those are the 2 proposals put out there. You can go to InterOccupy.net, and there's a NatGet2 website on there if you want to see what it looks like. And then May1st.org is a collective that could host our website. So maybe Andrea has some more to say about that. But those are our 2 proposals out there, and we'd like to decide and get feedback on that. Thank you. Check.
Okay, thank you. Andrea, may I put you on the spot and go ahead and put your mic on? Do you have any comments about that?
Yeah, so you can put my mic on. Go ahead. Is it on?
It's on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I wanted to just come on the call and get a sense of what y'all want or need, rather, and I will, be happy to set you guys up, especially with May 1st, and obviously do the IO Hub for you. I don't have anything to say other than I'm just here more to hear from you and just take my list of needs that need to be filled and then go ahead and do it. But I think personally, just weighing in on those 2 options, I think it's smart to have a standalone site because a website, the first year, Occupy Philly did a really good job with having their own NatGet website because it allowed for a lot more information to be organized in a prettier and more in a way that made more sense for people. I don't think we had the same kind of technological support last year. We did, Jackie and myself and a few other people, I think, did a really good job of, keeping the information as up to date as possible on the IO Hub. And that was all that the NatGat had. But the hubs are not meant to carry a vast amount of information in the same way that a website is. Hubs are really more meant to be like, the first point of contact for someone who wants to find out about what's going on with NatGat 14. And you can see on a hub, you can see all of the social media contacts for that group. You can see any major updates. You can see pictures. You can see minutes if you want to post minutes. I mean, there are some really great things we can do with the hub, but it's just not meant to be as voluminous as a website can be, So I would really suggest that folks do go along with the NatGat2014.com idea as a standalone, and I'm happy to volunteer my time to help with that stuff. I'm really good at WordPress and can do things like that. And then also have an IO Hub, which is like the short page of the NatGat, like the basic, vital information that you want to communicate to people that come to our website to find out about stuff. And the other plus I would say of having an IO Hub in addition to a website is that we can feed traffic to your website through our newsletter that goes out to I think about 20,000 people. We can do that, and we can also consistently publish your updates that would also be included in the newsletter. So it would be, it would be well worth it, and it doesn't take long to set one up either. That's all I got for now. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you, and thank you so much for volunteering your time to set up. That's a skill that not everyone has, and we really, really appreciate that. Okay, we've got several people here on Stack who'd like to speak. Let me start off with Dan. We'll go Dan, Jackie, Bob, and then Joe. So go ahead, Dan.
I would just volunteer the articlev.org website space. We've got unlimited space there already. If you wanted to park that URL at that server, we can. It really is unlimited space. So we pay for it already. We can add groups. We're already in an inter-occupied group, basically. So adding this in there would be just fine anyway. Also, if you're over there at the articlev.org website, you'll see there's the Oxwall platform we have there that's more like a Facebook clone. And I got to say, I like that. It becomes our own thing, and it's very interactive. You can still post a lot of different things in the columns and stuff like that. It's very, very easy to use, a lot easier than WordPress. The other thing that's in there is another platform, and if you go to the assembly portion of that website, you'll see there's a great voting platform that we've got in there, and we put it in there just so we could have online consensus building, and it's just a really great thing. And you can create websites with it's got a built-in WYSIWYG HTML editor, and it's really slick, and you can do virtually anything with that platform. Both are open source, and we can install those into those folders at that URL and make it completely separate, and nobody has to know that it's hosted on our site. So, and it's at no extra cost to us either. So I don't see it as a big problem. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm seeing lots of approval hands going up. Thank you. Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had one question for Andrea, because even though with I/O I'm just learning that we can make these standalone sites through May 1st, my question is, will that still have to involve I/O personnel being on board, or can it just the reins be handed over to the NatGat group and to their admins? Check.
Okay, and Andrea, I put your mic on so you can answer that.
Yeah, I think if May 1st is cool with people parking the NatGat website over there, it doesn't need to include IO personnel, to my knowledge. And it probably would be better to have whatever group of people is, are committing to, creating the website and maintaining it. It would be better to have them get in on the ground floor. I was just offering to be there as an extra set of hands if it's needed. I hope that answers your question, Jackie. But what I can do also is check in with Ross and Dana about the particulars of the May 1st thing, which I can do tonight.
Hey, thank you, Andrea and Jackie. Next, we've got Bob. Let me go ahead and find your mic. We've got many more people on the call now. I see about 15. So, Bob, go ahead.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Andrea. Appreciate all your information. Obviously, you're quite knowledgeable and skilled at this. One of my concerns is always about making sure that it's user-friendly. And I tend to operate from a completion backwards approach, thinking back to August and ahead to August and all the things that are going to come up, everything that's going to be on that site that way, and then working back to now, what do we have to do to create that site and the system that will be amenable to all those things. And then also I want to find out about security. And then of a site, and then also the linkage, about being able to link to other things, and easy for people to click here and then it takes them somewhere else that's relevant, and things like that. Like say there was a transportation page, and or a separate site they had to go to for transportation, and we'd have links on there, and it's really easy to navigate that. I mean, all those things. I mean, I'm not a real technical person. It's like I could build a system working with an MIS coordinator, but I know what I want, in that way. So. That kind of stuff is important to me, and it's probably important to other people as well. Thank you.
Okay, Andrea, go ahead. I've turned your mic on to respond to those.
Okay, well, I don't want to speak on behalf of the people that are already part of this group that want to design the site. I mean, I can tell you what we've done in the past, which is to create, especially with Occupy Sandy when we did that, we created a website that was basically a WordPress site. I know that there were a few people from TechOps in Occupy Wall Street that created a particular theme for us, and they did it very quickly. But essentially, the site was WordPress, and I felt that it was pretty easy to navigate. Now, again, the website that Occupy did, I thought was fantastic and also very easy to navigate, and it included information about who the group is, and then it had like a tab where it had like the program in a PDF form that was like really well designed, and that was the same program that you got when you got onto the ground in Philadelphia. It had another sort of page for endorsements. It had a page for the visioning document that they ended up doing during the NatGat, and then they compiled it and crafted it and then put it up online. They had I don't know that they had a travel tab, but I know that NatGat 2 did. It sent you to an offline site. Now, again, I don't want to speak for anyone on this on this call. If you guys decide that you want to use a third-party service to organize either car shares or housing or that kind of thing, that's, I think, it's an autonomous thing. You should be allowed to do whatever's best for the group. I would just advise being able to connect all of those things back to the main website so that everyone knows you go to natgat2014.com to get all the information that you need, and it's done. And I agree with you, it should be done in a very clean and orderly fashion, and I don't doubt that that will be the case. I'm pretty sure that whoever's wanting to design the site on this call is more than capable, especially since it's a huge job. So anyone who would self-select to volunteer for that, I'm sure, is really good at what they do. the second thing I would say in terms of security, May 1st, we haven't had any problems on IO's website in quite some time. I know back in 2011 we had an issue, but that was 2 years ago, more, I think. I don't know if Jackie remembers this. But since then, it's never happened again. And all of the other sites that we've helped with, Occupy Sandy, I can't remember the other ones, but we haven't had any security issues in terms of being hacked or taken offline or whatever, you know. And I'm trying to remember what the other question was. I think that was everything. Yeah, that's all I have. Check.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andrea. Joe, thanks for being so patient. We've got Joe and then Brian. Joe, go ahead.
Hi, this is Janet Wilson. I'm actually with Joe Hawk right now, and I was just going to offer up. We have Occupy the Roads has a reseller account, and we can host if somebody wants to make a website or use WordPress. I can host that, and it doesn't cost anything. And you can have emails, and you can see the back end of traffic, and it comes with quite a bit. It's through Midphase. And then the other thing I was going to offer up is I have finance background. I can't do loan finance, but I would love to be supportive any way I can if somebody needs some advice on setting something up. I do bookkeeping for a living. So anyway, I just thought I'd offer those two up as an option. Check.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Janet. Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Dan and Janet for offering their websites. That's a possibility. If you could, I'm friends with you on Facebook. If you could message me privately, I didn't get your website addresses, so message me with that. I'm going to be involved in this. Nathan was on the call. I don't see him now. Or are you, Nathan? You might want to
Nathan is on the call. Yes.
There he is. I see him now. Okay, so I really think May1st.org might be the way to go because it's tied to InterOccupy, and it's going to be secure. As far as the domains, we can point the domains to any site we want, so that's not an issue. That will be secure. And we have 3 or 4 now people that can develop a website, and Andrea, you can help too. That'd be great. And we can use either a WordPress format or a Drupal format. So we can take care of that. We have plenty of people to develop a real beautiful website. So I'm proposing probably to go with May1st.org as a standalone site, and then we can also develop a hub on InterOccupy, so we could have both to help us. So check.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next we have Jackie, and then I will put Nathan on the spot and see if he has any input on this. So Jackie, and then Nathan, and then Andrea. Go ahead.
Hi.
Jackie.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that there is a thread on our email list. What are we? NG24. Well, it doesn't matter what the email list is because you have to go subscribe to it. But I wanted to say that Chip Unshoulder from Facebook, I'm not sure of his given name, but he laid out really nicely a big, long email about May 1st. They're really a really good activist tech organization, and how secure it is, and a lot of stuff that I don't understand as a techie. But I think that'd be a good email for people to read, and then maybe bounce off of that with these other ideas. Check.
Okay, thank you for that. Andrea, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also, I think sooner rather than later, I would like to get a hub up for you guys so that you have some online presence while the website is being designed. So I just wanted to throw that in your ears now. Okay, check.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Nathan, go ahead. Your mic is on. Do you have any thoughts?
Hi. I'm not sure I have a lot to add. I've kind of been in the discussions so far and kept everyone up to date on my opinions. I think the May 1st hosting sounds really good. The one thing I keep thinking about is I don't really want to make a temporary site that's just going to become kind of inactive later, and then someone else has to recreate the wheel all over again. It would be nice if we were creating something more permanent. And also, right now we're dealing with the Occupy SAC site. It's the guy who's been paying for the hosting doesn't want to pay anymore, and we need to do something with that. And I've been thinking about the other local groups that don't have sites really, and how we might combine things. But anyway, I think trying to work more with May 1st is going to be a good option for several of these things I'm thinking about.
Okay, great.
That's about it. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions for me.
Yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and press number 1. We have a pretty clear. It doesn't look like there's any more questions about that, but it sounds like, Brian, you and folks are really moving ahead on that. Thank you. Okay. Any more comments on website, social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc.? If not, I'd like to go to, we've got logos. In fact, there has been a logo that has been making the rounds that I like personally, but I'd like to hear what other folks think. So, Brian, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say just real quick on that, and then I can talk about logos too, is that we do have a Twitter set up, so people join us. It's at NatGat214. And join us, follow us, and retweet our tweets, and tell other people to follow us. So it's at NatGat2014. And then we do have a Facebook page that we're proposing to use. It's already been set up. It's called Occupy National Gathering. So check that out, and we're going to use that for now. I also just want to make sure, have we approved then to go ahead with the May 1st site? Should we take a consensus here, or what?
That sounds like a good idea. Why don't we go ahead and take have a temp check on this? Everybody who would like to go ahead with the May 1st site, which is Brian's suggestion, go ahead and press number 2 on your keypad to show approval. And if you don't like that, press number 3 or press number 1 to talk about it. And if, like me, you don't know enough to make an intelligent vote, you can abstain. Okay, it looks like we've got a bunch of 2s. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 10 2s. We have no 3s, no 1s, so it doesn't look like we have any objections to that. So I would read that as an endorsement to go ahead with the May 1st version. Okay, great. So, okay, next, going to logo. You've probably seen the logo, and Brian, yes, I'll go ahead and put your mic on if you wanted to lead the discussion on the logo. Go ahead.
Sure. So we'll go ahead and start setting up the website, and then we'll set up the hub too on the IO hub, and Andrea will help us with that. So if there's any objections, just please let us know. And we'd love everyone's input on the site. Okay, thank you. As far as the logo, I just put a logo out there, got a lot of feedback. Nathan came up with the actual theme, Together We Rise, so that's our proposal. And the logo was just an idea, it was just a sample. I think we're going to change the colors to make them the 5 colors, the hands. And some people do not like the fist, they want something else. A lot of people do like the fist, but again, we'll do 5 colors, the rainbow and the hands, and use that. The proposal out is that if we can't come up with the main theme right now, or logo, is that we can just use a variety of them to get publicity out there. Of course, we've got to wait for the date now, but that's kind of the idea we've been talking about, is just have several memes out there and several logos and themes. So I'm opening up the floor to other people's input and discussion on that. That was just kind of to get things going, putting out that logo. So let's hear what people have to say. Check.
Okay, please press number 1 if you want to talk on this. While I'm waiting up, Bob, go ahead. Bob, you've got the mic.
Yes, hi everybody. I love the raised fists. I mean, to me, it really signifies essentially what we represent and what we need to represent. It kind of also reminds me of the Wobblies, the IWW, when I believe in the heyday of the Wobblies was when this country was at its best, where there was a strong and thriving union and that stood up for the rights of the workers and the people. And I think we need to get back there again. And you know, we no longer can have those kumbaya moments. Those are gone. I mean, this is a fight that we need to win. I mean, you know, I believe we need a national strike, and I think that symbol of raised fists, the way it was, is really strong, and it's kind of golden in a way, and which to me represents power. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. And I should mention, too, that I suspect this is going to be one of those issues. We could talk about it now, but we're probably going to have to talk next week about how do we actually finally make a decision. But I think this is a great place to just talk about it, you know, give our gut reactions to it. Donna, go ahead.
Hi, sorry I had to unmute. Okay, well, I do remember that last week we had discussed different themes. I like the theme Together We Rise. I also like the idea of the raised fist. And I definitely have not even seen it yet, though, so I would like to give input and look at it. I'd like to know if we can repeat where that is, because I didn't catch that. There is a little bit of distortion over the conference call, so I'm not sure if I just have a bad connection or if I'm in a bad place in my house. That being said, I think that it's important that we make sure to keep a theme for this national gathering that is reflective of being peaceful and nonviolent. We will be joining with members of Idle No More and the AIM movement, and with Occupy, these three groups together are formidable. I would hate to raise any, cautionary, extra observation, because we're choosing to have a theme that might imply that it's time to strike. I don't like that idea at all. I don't think that's what the national gathering is about. It's not a national action that we're planning. We're planning a gathering. So that's my own opinion. Also, there's been some talk of trying to find out if we can have members of the Zapatista community come up. Certainly, if this was going to be a more vigorously themed event, then that might make it impossible for a group like the Zapatistas to join us with their collective experience about how they have weathered this same battle for so many years and stayed together and been able to defend somewhat of a more free way of life that they've been fighting for so long. So I want to make sure we have a safe environment, and certainly one that takes into consideration that we will be joining people from many groups that together collectively are feared by our government at this point in time. They're obviously all under watch. I suggest that we keep it as peaceful and nonviolent as possible. That's my opinion. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next we've got Barbara, and then we'll have Brian, and then Chaz. Okay, Barbara, go ahead.
I really like the phrase "Together We Rise." I'm not opposed to upraised fists, but I think that the idea of perhaps upraised clasped hands, will maybe bring about that thought about unity a little bit more. When I wrote an article summing up NatGat 2, that I want to just read you a couple sentences. An oft-repeated point during NatGat 2 was the need to overcome that which divides us and to build bridges, alliances, coalitions, solidarity. And then I went on to quote an opening phrase from the 2011 Occupy Wall Street Declaration of the Occupation, which says, "As one people united, we acknowledge the reality that the future of the human race requires the cooperation of its members." And I really think, for myself, I really like the idea of unity and togetherness. And yes, we have to be strong, and I know the upraised fist really signals that, but I think we also have to be united. Check.
Okay, thank you. Next is Brian. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Donna, the logo is on our NatGat closed group site if you want to look at it, and if anyone else hasn't seen it. And then there's several other samples there of things. There's more cooperative hands and rising sun, and so there's different ideas. It may be good, again, to perhaps have a few different memes and logos to help. We could perhaps pick one as the main one, but then we could have different ones that we could get out there. And I think Stephen talked about that, maybe using this one to start, and then as we decide on the main one. And we can also get other artists involved too. So I'm all for what you, Barbara, and Donna are saying. I also like the fist, but there's lots of different ideas that we could use. So we're open to ideas, definitely. So check out those different graphics if you can, and give us some input on them. That'd be great. Thank you. Check.
Okay, thank you. Before I call on the next speaker, who will be Chaz, I wanted to just ask, is there anybody who is having trouble seeing these images, who hasn't been able to access the site, the Facebook page, and who would like assistance with that? If so, press number 4 on your keypad. Otherwise, I'll assume everybody knows how to get to those. Okay, I don't see any 4s, so let me go ahead and proceed with Chaz. Go ahead.
Hi, everybody. It's Chaz from Pittsburgh. I wanted to just chime in that I like the idea of multiple memes. It's really a hard thing to do to encapsulate everybody's issues and everybody's iconography into one single meme. And that said, I don't want to forget about I think Stephen brought it up last week about the 7 generations. Now there's many different iterations of this meme, and it's a legend, and it's a brand of paper towels. It's got everything. But really, like some of the words and memes I've gotten from that is let's be good ancestors. And the idea of this is 7 generations looking forward, that we should make decisions today that we know are going to affect the 7 generations of our children. And that sort of is a really, it brings together the environmental stuff, the financial stuff, the corrupt government stuff, everything for the next, 7 generations, like 200 years. So that's what I wanted to say. So check.
Great, thank you. This is a great conversation. Go ahead, Stephen. Your mic's on. Hello, Stephen.
Sorry, I done mute. Andy Kahn is also here too. We're at Soul Collective for our MLK event, but I like the idea to have more posters, like maybe like a series of 10 to 50. And then just let it go as is, and they can have like some panel like on the website where people can go utilize, because the movement is not just one narrow idea. That's what they tried to doom Occupy with. There's like, we don't have our shit together because we can't focus on one thing. And the one thing is all things together, united to get. Hold on one second. Yeah, handle it. Sorry about that. They're doing a sound test. But we shouldn't limit ourselves to one poster or 10 posters. There should be approved and like have some kind of like little stamp like logo that just says like Occupy with like I don't know what that's where the debate's going to be on what the logo is. But,
yes, that's our current debate.
We shouldn't do much emphasis on something like so small. It's just get this stuff together, how we can get as many people together in solidarity. So what can we do as a species for the next 7 generations? Whatever people want to identify with the 7th generation, we are a generation of this time, and what can we do for the future generations? And that's what the whole purpose of us in the beginning was agreeing with to host the conferences. We want to have awaken that consciousness that we're not just the 99%. We're a series of events leading to the next generations, and what we do or don't do will inevitably affect the next generation, whether it be positive or negative, and we want to get people together to make sure it's something positive and constructive. So that's why we say we are the 7th generation, because it unites the Occupy movement with we are the 99%, with the 7th generation waking people up to like we are a generation. And then people can get into the philosophical Googling of the philosophy of the 7th generation, because people didn't know what the 99% was when they were yelling it. I mean, it's us raising that paradigm for people to understand who we are. Like we are a generation, and to be honest, I mean, with all the resources that are becoming bad across the country, the world, I mean, who knows what the next 7 generations are going to have to endure. I mean, how much water is going to be poisoned, how much food is going to be genetically modified, how much chemtrails and pollution are going to pollute our airs. I mean, nobody really wants to physically work for that. It's quote-unquote not lucrative for our economy to do that kind of shit. But I think it's something that we need to awaken people to. Sorry. Done.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. And I should let you know you've got lots of twinkles, lots of hands up for what you just said. Okay, any more comments on the logo? I think a logo is important because, I mean, look how many people can associate Occupy with the raised fist. So I think it does deserve some kind of a discussion. And I think it was very interesting to hear about, you know, what would Idle No More want too, and some of the other groups that we are partnering with. And I guess we'll need to talk to them, get them on the phone call. Brian, go ahead.
So I guess, again, just to move forward, should we make a decision? I loved what Stephen had to say, and everyone seems to be okay with using multiple memes and posters for now. And we can try coming up with some various logos. But right now, Together We Rise is good. If you all have the different 7 generations ideas, why don't you put them out on our Facebook page so I can make some memes with that, and we can get some different ideas flowing on our closed page, and then next week we can maybe improve a couple more. But I guess I'd like to get an idea of whether we can move forward with these and put out some multiple memes. And again, the date's an issue, so we really can't put them out too much publicly, but at least we could start creating some and get some approval on that. So that's my proposal. Check.
Now, Brian, are you saying, are we going to incorporate Together We Rise and the 7th generation together, or is that?
No, I would say they'd be separate. So I need some ideas. Maybe Chaz and Stephen, you could put some ideas on the Facebook page, or anyone else, and I can try to create some designs around that too and put them out there so we can get some ideas. And I think Together We Rise is good just by itself. And if people have other ideas too, there's different things out there that people have proposed, pop them out there, and I'll put a few together, and we can just share them on our closed page and get some ideas and come up and agree to some in the next week or so. So that's my proposal. Becky.
Okay, thank you, Brian. We've got a couple of responses here. We've got Joe, and then Carrie, and then Stephen. Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, this is just my suggestion. One emblem that Idle No More does use, and that's the single eagle feather. You could include that in with the raised fist. I think that would be pretty awesome. Check.
Okay, thank you. So next we have, let's see, who did I say that next? Carrie. Carrie, go ahead. And then Stephen, then Jackie. So,
Hi, sorry. Somebody has to turn down his phone. We're in the same room. I just wanted to say that I really like the Together We Rise and the fist. I think we need to go with that. And he asked a couple days ago about this already, and I think we need to make a decision to go ahead and cut and print and let it go. To me, the fist really symbolizes Occupy. It's like our Nike swoosh at this point. And so it's immediately recognizable. And what was I going to say? I cannot remember anymore. But I like the fist. I like that it's many fists. I mean, that right there says together. The fact that they're different colors represents different colors, you know, and we're really good to go. And I think we need to get it out there and start raising awareness and put it out there without a date so people ask what the date is. Either way, it creates buzz. Check.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Okay, next we have Stephen. Go ahead.
I really like the poster that was made with the Together We Rise. On the other hand, too, I would also go with it if that was the final theme. And also do like the fist, that a closed fist together also does symbolize unity. I mean, and it is also a brand recognizable to Occupy and civil rights movements. Also, on the other hand, Together We Rise, it sounds cliche to me, and it sounds like it's been milked, and it just sounds like something that's regular. It's not going to, like, I'm not going to feed in there. My personal opinion is We Are the Seventh Generation it bridges the gaps between the Occupy movement and then the Native American movements and Idle No More. And but it also makes you think of, like, it's thought-provoking. It's like, what does that mean, we are the seventh generation? And then it makes you think about, like, the next generations. Like, so the whole thing of the theme is to be thought-provoking. Also how it can encompass the purpose of the conference. Of course, Together We Rise. I mean, that's why it's a good thing. It's a good slogan. But everybody already knows Together We Rise, United We Fall. That's a long. I don't even know how old that quote is before I was even thought of.
Hey, all right. Next we've got Jackie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on, I think it was Joe saying to use the eagle, and I wanted to put in my 2 cents that if something is another group's logo, we really shouldn't use it without getting approval from them. And then bouncing off what Stephen said, the We Are the Seventh Generation, how would the indigenous community feel about just putting that out there without, further input? Check.
Okay, all right. I'm going to just chime in with my opinion. I love Together We Rise because to me that and also the fist symbolize action, symbolize that we're not just getting together to talk and listen to music and chat. You know, we're going to rise. We're going to rise to address these problems. And I think it's just a much more active and would draw people in to want to come to a conference where you're going to rise up. I mean, we're trying to appeal to activists. We want activists, Occupy activists and other activists to come out to this conference and then hopefully learn a lot, be inspired, and go back to their communities and get their communities to rise up. So there is my 2 cents. And now we will hear from Barbara. Go ahead. Barbara, go ahead. Your mic is on. Let's see. I guess we will try one more time. Barbara, are you there? Barbara pressed 4, but she must have stepped away. Okay. So here we are. You know, how do we make a decision? I guess we could do a temp check. Uh-oh. I think I'm having some computer errors here. Let me go ahead and see if I can fix this. Okay. How about if we, Barbara, let me try one more time. Barbara, are you there? No. Let's do a temp check. Just nothing hard and fast, just a temp check. If you like Together We Rise, go ahead and press number 2 on your keypad. And if you really don't like it, press number 3. Okay. So let me. looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I'm going to count mine even though I'm having trouble getting my 2 to work. So we've got 10 here, and which is 50%. No one objects to it strongly. Before I ask for the vote on the 7th generation, my tech person, I see that Barbara said that she is having some problems. So if you could go ahead, maybe put her in a private breakout room. Yes, you're going to do that. Wonderful. Okay, I'll turn her mic off. Thank you very much, Jackie. Okay, let me go ahead and put the hands down for this. Okay, the next temp check will be for 7th generation, or we are the 7th generation as our theme, as our short theme. So if you like that one, press number 2. If you object, press number 3. And if you want to speak on it, press number 1. Okay, I'm not getting any votes whatsoever on this. Stephen, this was your theme. Are you going to vote on it?
Sorry, I stepped out because I'm at an event we're hosting.
I know. Okay. What the question was, we were talking about adopting the 7th generation as our theme. So
yeah,
if you like that, press number 2 to vote for that one.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. All right. Very slow in showing up, but I know it's there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 people who like that. We've got 4 people who really object to that, and 2 folks who want to speak on it. So let's get our discussion. We've got Brian and then Frank. Brian, go ahead, and then Lou.
If we can't make a decision tonight, we can always table it, but we could use both. I could vote for both. Truthfully, I like both of them. So I guess if I had to choose, Together We Rise would be my choice. But we could also incorporate We Are the 7 Generations. I think that's a great theme too. So
I'm wondering, could you put it below? Could you have one, Together We Rise, and then below it, We Are the 7th Generation?
I can try to put something together to give people ideas. If you want to do that, yeah, I'd be willing to do that. Let's maybe get a vote here on that. I'd be happy to put it together, and then we can discuss it more next week. Because I don't think we should put a theme out unless we have consensus.
No, definitely.
And then we just, or we could have multiple themes. That might be the consensus too. So I don't know. Anyway, that's my input. But yeah, I'd be happy to put some together with both of them if people want that. Or I can also put one together just with We Are the 7 Generations and see what people think out on our site. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian. Let's see who else we've got. We've got quite a number of people who'd like to speak. We've got, let's see, Frank. Go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to bring up, well, first, I haven't been on the calls in the last couple of weeks, so I don't really know what the 7th generation is. And because I don't really know what it is, I'm wondering how many people will pick it up if they just look at it and say, oh, 7th generation, what does that mean? That's my concern. Check.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point. Lou, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I don't really understand what that is quite yet, and I doubt anybody coming in might. And I think that it would be a little bit too confusing to throw 2 in there. I really enjoy the one going up, Together Rising. I think just pretty much says it all. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lou. That's why I like having a lot of people on the call, so we can get a lot of different opinions. Thanks to all of you so much for being on this call. Donna, go ahead.
Well, I was going to suggest that perhaps we take the next week and develop memes. I really like the idea of multiple memes. That being said, we could spend just 1 week right now maybe having people develop their own ideas, submitting maybe all of these memes to one central location where we could all look at them and maybe set up some type of survey where we could start voting on them. I think that giving some time to maybe get some more market research, so to speak, on the phrases, to see how people react to them. We can interview our own friends or occupy local groups to find out what they think of certain phrases. So my suggestion basically, again, is just to maybe give it some time, have people develop memes and post ideas, and then we can discuss this or possibly table this for next week. Just my opinion. Check.
Thank you, Donna. I second that. I think that's a great idea. We've got Bob and then Tricia and then Barbara. Anyone else want to weigh in on this, go ahead and press number 1 on your keypad. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and close off discussion. Barbara will be our last speaker. Bob, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. I don't really know what 7th generation is either, to tell you the truth. I'm having a hard enough time with this generation. One of the key things I believe is I'd like to, take some time and then check it out myself so I can see what it is, and also talk more with Stephen about it, because obviously he's very involved with that. And then, table, after we're done, table this and for tonight, and then we can discuss it more as more people, Frank and other people also can check that out as well. And then also, I think it's a little premature to figure out, to start talking about what the theme is before we kind of have discussed like the issues or nail down the issues that we're going to really be dealing with, because we may find out that we're more of the social economic injustice, or it's more race anti-racism, or it's more environmental or something like that. So, and then we would want a theme to kind of deal with whatever seems like the issue is, unless all issues are equal. But right now I think it's kind of premature. I mean, that doesn't mean that in 2 weeks we won't have that theme nailed down, because we're going to be fleshing out issues. But anyway, I just want to say that. And also, Lisa, your idea are not 2 cents, they're $1 million ideas. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bob. You are so kind. Okay, we've got Tricia, Barbara, and then we will finish up with Stephen. Go ahead, Tricia.
Hi, everybody. Solidarity from Philadelphia. I think what Chaz said as a tagline would explain what the 7th generation. He said, "Let's be good ancestors." So I like, together we rise. Let's be good ancestors. Something like that, because I think showing that we are the beginning of something that could go on for 7 generations, I think might be a little hopeful. It might be helpful for people to know that we're at the beginning of a decision point here, and we can go one way or another way. So, making how would it look in 7 generations if we went on this way path that we're on, or a different path. So I think just trying to make ourselves in time as good ancestors. So check. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, next, Barbara, go ahead.
Is the mic working this time?
Absolutely, we can hear you.
Woohoo! I did want to reiterate what Jackie said about we need to be careful that we're not appropriating other cultures' symbols when we're trying to really appreciate other cultures' symbols. The 7th generation, I first heard of from Native American neighbors here in northern Michigan, where they talk about looking ahead, every decision you make, how will it impact the next 7 generations? And it resonates with me. However, this is not, and perhaps Stephen and William Underbaggage, whose culture, would have a better position to talk about this, but I'm very sensitive coming off of being boycotted at NatGat 2, that we learn to work with others and not just appropriate without asking. And there's no hurry. Everyone here, my compliments how far ahead you are in the planning and doing quite well. If there's time to go slow and be sensitive, we want to join with people and not offend them. Check.
Okay, thank you. All right, we will finish up with Stephen, and then we will decide how we're going to proceed with this. So, Stephen, go ahead.
Well, this is Stephen's mentor, the Rev.
Oh, hi there, Rev.
How you doing, guys? I'm listening to this whole conversation. I like the idea of putting them both together, and I tell you because I understand some people don't understand what the seventh generation, but I think the two together make a more all-inclusive, and we can explain things. That gives us, if it makes people ask questions, then that's good, because that gives us the opportunity to explain what's going on. And I think we need to be able to bring that out of people. So I think that would be a very good way of doing it. And it gives us a really wide range of abilities and things to be able to do to bring everybody together. And I think it would really embody the spirit of Martin Luther King a lot more than anything else. And I think that's one of the things that National has to think about is if we're going to remake the wheel, or if we're going to jump on and take something that's already been given to us as a guide and a way to go with the poor people movement. I think that's something that we need to think about. And that's really all I have to say about it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Rev. So it sounds, Brian, go ahead. You wanted to respond?
Yeah, okay, so why don't we do that? Why don't I put together a couple memes with them combined? And so I like Trish's idea too, let's be good ancestors. I could do that one, but let's do Together We Rise, We Are the Seven Generations, and let's just see what it looks like. I'll put it out on the Facebook page in the next couple days and get input. And then I'll also try yours, Trisha, too, and then maybe a couple different varieties. So that's my proposal. And then we can discuss it and talk about it next week and decide. And we also need to get the date down, too, because that's part of the meme and the whole poster. So that's my opinion. Check.
Okay, thank you. Well, good. That leads very, very well into what I wanted to ask, because it's getting to be 6 o'clock, and we need to decide what we're going to discuss next week. So it sounds like for the agenda for next week, we will include discussion and adoption of our logo and our theme. And I do like the idea of testing it out on other people. Go to your fellow activists and just kind of get a gut reaction from them. Do they like this? Is this something you'd want to be associated with? Is this something that would make you want to drive 500 miles across the country to want to be a part of this? Okay, unless anybody has any objections, we will put that on the agenda then for next week. Let's see. We also have, for next week, we're going to be discussing our decision making, our structure. And we'll have that on there too. We might have a report back on the, let's see, Bob, go ahead. You've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say something. I saw that on the agenda. It mentioned, it stated, does planning group have the diverse participation needed to counter the pervasive influence of systemic racism? And I didn't want to be remiss in our not addressing that. One thing in Sacramento that we always are extremely conscious of and work really hard, thanks to people like the Rev and Stephen and Brother Carter and Andy, me, and Lisa, and people like that, is to always make sure we have every event we do is very diverse. We have make sure that there's female representation and the elderly, and we get kids up there, and of course across all races, ethnic lines, and things like that. And in fact, I just helped an event with the California Grange, and they said it was the most regarding GMO labeling, and they said it was the most diverse event they ever had in Sacramento, and actually any ones that they ever remember attending. And to the point of that they forgot to include a farmer. You know, the California Grange is about farming, but we had black speakers. Brother Carter was there. We had a Native American elder there, and a Latino speaker and everything like that, and women, men, you name it, including some kids there and grandparents. So, you know, this is one thing we really put a lot of time and effort into it. So I believe I can assure people that we're going to be okay on this one here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Yes, I was thinking we might have to push that one off to next meeting, but Jackie, go ahead. You've got a comment on this.
About the process, I just wanted to weigh in and say we might want to agree ahead of time on a large chunk of time or a special call because I know, like, say tonight we spent 45 minutes talking about the date. You know, we're occupied, we can talk. So that might be something to temp check because you can't just do it in like 10 or 15 minutes. Check.
So you're talking about a separate call then?
Or maybe saying a whole hour on a call or something, you know, like giving it a good chunk. So thought maybe we should temp check that before we go further. Check.
That sounds like a good idea. It'd be nice to have a set amount of time. Plus, we got to limit it too. We can't talk forever about our structure and our voting. So okay, go ahead and I'll put that out for a temp check. For next week's call, we will devote, I hate to devote a whole hour, but let's say up to an hour, if needed, an hour, to discuss structure, how we make decisions, our group, how we make decisions, including our larger orbit of people who aren't on this call but are participate a lot in the Facebook. So go ahead, press number 2 if you'd like for us to put that on the agenda for next week. I know it is not maybe the most exciting topic to talk about, but I will go ahead and vote for that. Tricia has a response. Go ahead, Tricia.
Oh, you had gotten ahead of me a little bit, but I just wanted to put on outreach on next week's call. I just want to make sure we have a good outreach strategy. So that's what I wanted to say. Check.
Great, thank you. Yes, we did talk about that. Although now we've got I think upwards of 15, 16 people. We want to get more people on the call. So I see a majority of 2s. Actually, we've got 50% of the people. 8 people put their hands up for 2. So we will go ahead and hash that out in the Occupy way to get a way of making agreements. So maybe it will make these phone calls go a little quicker too. So I also wanted to announce, in case anybody doesn't know, about where you can find the agenda. You know, we invite you to please add items to the agenda. I mean, we might not get to them next week, but then the following week. And so I'm going to turn Jackie's mic on. Jackie, tell people where they can find the agenda so they can submit items. Go ahead.
Okay. If you're going to write it or type it out, it's netgat2014.titanpad.com/4. If you just want to go find it for now, you can find it on the Facebook group up at the top where it says Files. Click on Files and look for the one that says Doc Dump. And in there is a whole bunch of the agenda and other documents we've been creating. Check.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Before we close out, does anybody have any further comments? I know it's getting late, so thanks to all of you for taking so much of your time to participate in this. I know it is kind of slow going in the beginning, but I think it's really all going to pay off. So same time next week. See you there, and might have a different voice behind the mic next week. Brian. We do have Brian. And before we close the call, Brian and Dan put their hands up. Brian, go ahead.
I just say just briefly, add one more thing. The agenda is our themes, our sub-themes that we need to talk about that we put out there. We have, I think, 10 or 12 of them. So can we put that on the agenda also?
Sure. Themes and sub-themes. Okay.
Yeah, of the event itself. The sub-themes of the event itself. There's a bunch out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Sorry about my dog barking in the background. Dan, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thanks to Brian for looking into everything this last week. I can tell you've done a whole lot of work, and I just wanted to show my appreciation for that. And thanks to you for how you're moderating this call. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I actually didn't vote for spending a set amount of time on anything just because I think you're doing a great job of facilitating the call, and I think it has a really good natural flow to it. So I want to share my appreciation with both of you. Thanks a lot. Aloha.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. You've made my night. Okay, the last person we have here to speak is Bob. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody for all the work that you've been putting into this, and also thanks to Lisa for doing a great job moderating the call. That's it.
Okay, great. Okay, it looks like we've gotten to everybody who wants to speak, and thanks for those of you who've put your twinkle hands up. Thank you too. So same time next week then, and go ahead and add items to the agenda. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.